Hello, Year 3. Here we are for our next science lesson. There we go. So today we are continuing with our investigation into the skeleton. And today we're looking at what the skeleton does. What's its job? So the functions of a skeleton. So here's today's date and the Walt. If you'd like to just pause the recording so that you can get those written down. Okay, so today's Walt is to identify and explain the three main functions of a skeleton. So what's a skeleton for? What does a skeleton do? What's its job? So our steps to success today, so I can identify parts of the skeleton that protect the body. There's a clue. I can identify parts of the skeleton that support the body and help it move. And I can explain how different parts of the skeleton work. So what do all those different parts of the skeleton do? Okay, so we've got two questions here. Discuss the following questions, maybe with somebody who's in the room with you. And there are two little videos or activities for you to do. So why do we have skeletons? What are they for? And then what would happen if we didn't have a skeleton? Okay, so just pause this recording, and then on the daily post, you've got a video to watch, and then there are some activities from BBC Bite Size. So go down that page, I think there's a video and a quiz for you to do as well. So just pause this recording while you watch the two little video clips and have a go at some of the activities. Okay, so hopefully you've done both of those. You've had a look at the video clips, maybe had a go at the quiz as well, and you might be able to answer these questions now about why do we have skeletons? What are they there for? And what would happen if we didn't have a skeleton? Okay, let's just have a look at the first slide. So we've got three things to do today. So on the daily post, you've got this activity sheet to complete. And there's three things that we're going to do, and these link to the three functions of the skeleton. And the first job, the first function that the skeleton does is protection. It protects some of our inner organs of our bodies. So if you spotted these in the video clips that you've already watched, well done. So let's have a look at this part of the skeleton here. This is your skull. And what's found inside your skull? Something very, very important, probably the most important organ of your body, and that is your brain. So your brain is inside your skull, and the skull does a really important job of protecting your brain. Okay, so you can use yourselves now as your experiments. So if you have a feel of your head, your skull is very, very hard and quite thick as well, because inside there is your brain. You can't feel your brain, you can't see your brain, okay? It's under your hair and your skin, and then you have your skull or cranium, if you remember the scientific word, and that is doing a really important job of protecting your brain. If you've got a hit or a knock to the head, okay, you wouldn't want your brain to be damaged, so your skull is there to protect it. There are other bones in your body which also do a job of protection, okay? And your first task today is to label and colour in red or a different colour, it's up to you, bones that protect organs in your body. So one of them is definitely your skull because it's protecting your brain. And then if you move down here, we've got our rib cage. And this bone in the middle, which is your breastbone or sternum, if you remember from last time. And these do another really important job of protecting the organs, those soft, squishy organs which are inside your chest. So inside your chest, you have your lungs, which the job of the lungs is to breathe in and out, and your heart, which is right in the middle there. Okay, also just underneath here, you start to have your liver and your stomach as well. Okay, so the rib cage and the breastbone, the sternum, they do a really important job of protecting those soft, squishy organs. There's one more bone or group of bones that do a really good job of protection. Okay, and that is your vertebral column, your vertebrae. So all of those little tiny bones that are on top of each other, there's something inside there which really needs protecting. I wonder if you can find that one out. Okay, so you can go through these different tasks, do them one at a time, or leave them all to the end. It doesn't really matter. So that's the first job that your skeleton does. Its first function is protection. So if you want to complete task 1 now, just pause the recording and you can do task number 1. Okay, let's have a look at task number 2. The second job your skeleton does is it supports your body. If you didn't have a skeleton, you would just be a blob of jelly on the floor, okay? Your body would have no structure, it would have no shape, okay? And all of your bones of your skeleton, they give your body shape and structure and support. So it supports every other part of your body. So one of the functions of the skeleton is to support your body. If you didn't have bones in your body, you would just be organs and skin and hair on the floor. So which are the main parts of your skeleton that keep your body upright? Okay, do you think your arms keep yourself upright? Well, they give shape to your arms, your bones in your arms, they give shape to it, but they don't actually support your body. There are bones in your body which really give it more support and keep it upright. So your task number 2 is on your activity sheet. Using a different coloured pencil, colour in the bones that keep your body upright, that keep it supported. Okay, so you might want to just pause the recording while you have a go at task number 2. And when you're ready, let's try task number 3. Your skeleton is really important for movement. Okay, without your bones, without your skeleton, you would find movement very, very difficult. Okay, so here's a little task for you to do. Okay, and Mrs. Starr's got a pen here to demonstrate with. Okay, so just put your pen or pencil down in front of you and have a go at picking it up. Okay, so I managed to pick up my pen. Hopefully you picked up your pen or pencil quite easily. Okay, now put it down again in front of you. Now have a go at picking up your pencil or pen with your fingers absolutely straight. You're not allowed to bend them, okay? You're not allowed to bend your fingers at all, okay? Now see if you can pick up your pencil. Okay, yeah, I just about managed it, okay? But how about doing some writing now? Would you be able to fill in the rest of your sheet with your fingers absolutely straight? Well, I'm not sure I'd actually be able to get the pen lid off my pen without bending my fingers. So we need our bones to be able to have joints and move so that we can be able to function properly. Okay, so our bones, our skeletons are also really important for movement. So, and we can do or have movement because we have joints between our bones. We don't just have one long bone in our fingers. You know that there are lots of joints in between those little tiny bones. Have a think about your arm. Okay, is this one bone from the shoulder to the wrist? Is that just one long bone? No, if you remember from last week, we've got one bone here and then 2 bones going down to our wrist. And in between, you have your elbow, and this is a joint so that we can bend. So in between bones in your bodies, the connections are called joints. And if we didn't have joints in our bodies, we wouldn't be able to move the way we do. Okay, we wouldn't be able to bend, jump, skip, and all the movements that you do. Now, there are 3 main joints that you have in your bodies, and you might have again seen these in some of the video clips, but here's a little reminder. So one type of joint is called a ball and socket joint. So this is where you have the end of a bone that looks like a ball, and then this end of the bone sits inside another bone and it can move around inside it. So you can have a look at the little diagram there. So that's like the bone, it comes to an end and it sits inside another bone. So this is the type of joint that you have in your shoulder. Okay, so at the end of your humerus here, in your shoulder, there's that type of joint. And this means that this joint, these bones can move in all directions. Okay, so you have this in your shoulder and also in your hip. So where your top of your leg joins your pelvis, joins your hips. So you have those types of joints which allow movement in all directions. Okay, maybe just have a go at finding where those joints are and seeing how well you can move from your in your shoulders and how well you can move in your hips. Okay, the next type of joint is what's called a hinge joint. You have lots of these in your body. Okay, the main one for you to have a look at, nice easy one, is in your arm. Okay, and this is a hinge joint here. Okay, so your elbow can bend up and down. Okay, you have a little bit of sideways movement, but that's mainly coming from your shoulder. Okay, so have a feel of your bones in your arm and see if you can feel that bending up and down. So you have these in your arm, you also have them in your legs. You also have lots of them in your fingers, little hinge joints here. Okay, so again, maybe just pause the video while you explore those hinge joints in your body. Okay, and finally, a slightly strange joint now. This is called a gliding joint. This is where the bones kind of slide over each other. Okay, so the example that you've got on your screen there is in your wrist. So when you move your wrist, the bones kind of move over each other. So it allows backwards and forwards movement, but also side to side movement as well. Okay, so the bones there are sliding over each other. Okay, so we've gone through those three main functions of the skeleton: protection and support, and then finally for movement you have joints in your body. So if you haven't already, you can start filling in your different tasks. So the first one was to label those bones in your body which give protection. Task number 2 was to label and colour the bones in your body that keep it upright, to give you support. And then task number 3. So here we've got our pictures of our 3 different types of joint. Can you remember what they were called? If not, just run the video back a little bit. So what was the type of joint? And then can you circle them, or can you find where those joints are on the skeleton? Okay, so that's your 3 tasks to do. So if you haven't already, just pause the recording and finish off those tasks of 1, 2, and 3. On your sheet, I've given you some go deep and go deeper questions to answer, but just a little bit more for you to think about as well. Can you match these skeletons? Whose skeleton is who? So match the skeletons and decide which bones provide that support, protection, and movement for these different animals. Okay, so here are our skeletons at the top. Which one? I know you've seen some of these before, and some of them are pretty obvious because we've seen them already. Which one of these do you think is the human skeleton? I'm pretty sure it's the one in the middle. Which one do you think is the dog? I don't think it's this one or this one, and we know it's not the middle one, so it's between those 2 there, but we did meet one of these last week. So which is the dog, which is the horse? You decide between those 2. Probably quite an easy one to spot. Which one is the snake? There it is. Some people think that maybe snakes don't have skeletons, and there we are, we can see that proves that this looks like a rattlesnake, doesn't it, with its tail? This does have a skeleton. Obviously it doesn't have any arms or any legs, so we don't have those bones there, but look, it's just mainly one long backbone, all those different vertebrae, and then we can see all the little ribs coming off the side. And then finally, which one is the fish? Okay, again, that looks pretty obvious, I think. Again, no arms or legs on the fish, but you can still see the backbone, that vertebrae going down there. Let's just check that we got those correct. Here they go. So horse, fish, human, dog, and snake. So think about those there. Which bones there give support to the horse? Which give protection? And which allow these different animals to move? Okay, and then finally, 2 weeks ago, we learnt about these different types of skeleton, the endoskeleton, like we have, the exoskeleton, that skeleton on the outside of the body, like crabs and lobsters, and then that hydrostatic skeleton, the ones like jellyfish and worms and slugs have. So here we've got our types of skeleton, and all skeletons have jobs to do. They all have a function, okay? So which ones do you think give the most protection, the most support, shape, and movement? Okay, so just have a think about it, because all skeletons need to do those jobs in some way. Okay, thank you everybody. I hope you enjoyed the science lesson today. Again, one more to go next week.